My name is Bradley. I'm 29, and for a few months of my life, I went to work every morning knowing my boss was sleeping with my wife. And I still said, "Good morning, sir," like nothing was wrong. People online love to say, if someone cheats, just leave. I used to think the same thing. Then my mom's life got tied to my wife's family. Then my paycheck got tied to the man my wife was sneaking around with. And suddenly, leaving wasn't just about heartbreak. It was about whether my mom, Lilith, would live to see another Christmas. I grew up in a mid-sized American city where nobody is truly anonymous. You see the same faces in the grocery store, in the diner, in traffic. My mom raised me on her own. She worked double shifts at a local bakery, came home smelling like sugar and tired feet, and still somehow had enough energy to ask about my day. She never had much, but she had this stubborn pride. Bills paid on time, house modest but spotless, son fed and loved. I was never the successful type in the way people like to brag about. No startup, no law degree. I became an office clerk. Steady job, stable paycheck at Pitts and Associates, a regional company that handled logistics and distribution. Nothing fancy, the kind of place where your title sounds more impressive than your actual duties. And then somehow, I got lucky. I met Alicia. We met at a friend's birthday party. She was standing by the kitchen counter in this simple blue dress, laughing at something someone said, tucking her hair behind her ear. The room might as well have blurred. I remember thinking, there's no way she even notices me. She did. We talked the entire night about music, books, how she hated people showing off on Instagram, how I loved old diners and bad coffee. She was bright, charming, funny in this sharp way that made you feel like you had to keep up. Those first months were electric. Cheap dates, late night walks, kissing in my car with the windows fogged up. She didn't care that I was just a clerk. At least that's what she said. She liked that I loved my mom, that I was responsible, that I wasn't some arrogant jerk trying to impress her. 4 years together. 2 years married. For a while, it felt like we were building something real. But love doesn't erase reality. It just makes it easier to ignore for a bit. The first time I met her brother Aaron, I realized our worlds were not the same. We were at a fancy restaurant I would never have chosen on my own. The kind of place with tall glasses and waiters who pull your chair out for you. Alicia was glowing, excited. "Aaron will love you," she said. "Just don't be nervous, okay?" Aaron arrived late, wearing a perfect suit like it grew on him. He was one of the city's top cardiologists, the kind of doctor people name drop. He kissed Alicia on the cheek, shook my hand like he was checking my pulse through my fingers. "So Bradley," he said, glancing at the menu without really seeing it. "What do you do?" "I'm an office clerk at Pitts and Associates, logistics." He smiled politely. "Solid, stable, that's good." The words were fine. The tone wasn't. There was this invisible measuring tape in his eyes, and I came up short. But he cared about Alicia, and Alicia cared about him, so I tried to ignore the way my neck got hot. Later that night, Alicia and I lay in bed, and she said, "Don't mind Aaron. He's just used to a certain standard." "What standard?" I asked, half joking. She hesitated. "You know, people who have big plans." I laughed it off then. We were in love. Love was enough. I believed that. She wanted to believe it too, until life tested us. It started with my mom's breathing. At first, it was small things. She'd get winded going up the stairs, rest her hand on her chest and say, "Just getting old, honey." Then she started waking up at night gasping. I'd find her sitting on the edge of the bed, pale and sweating. "Mom, you need a doctor," I told her. "We can't afford one of those specialists," she said. "You're barely getting by as it is." But fear doesn't listen to pride. One night she collapsed in the kitchen. The sound of her hitting the floor is burned into my brain. I called an ambulance with shaking hands. That's how we ended up at the hospital where Aaron worked. Alicia was the one who called him. I remember her voice on the phone, urgent but calm. "Aaron, it's Mom Lilith." She collapsed. "They're bringing her in now. Please, we need your help." Aaron appeared in the ER in his white coat, looking like he'd stepped out of a medical drama. For a moment, I was purely grateful. He took over, ordered tests, talked to colleagues I couldn't even pronounce. Later, when he pulled us into a quiet room, his expression was serious. "Your mother has advanced heart disease," he said. "It's complicated. We caught it late." My stomach dropped. The room swayed. "Is she going to make it?" I asked. He paused just long enough to terrify me. "We'll do everything we can, but her condition is delicate. She'll need close monitoring, medications, possibly procedures. And you need to be absolutely strict about her regimen." Strict, delicate, monitoring. All words that translated in my mind to, if anything goes wrong, she could die. Alicia squeezed my hand. "Erin is the best, Brad. She's in good hands." He nodded, looking at me. "I'll keep a close eye on her case, but I need you to be reliable. No missed appointments, no skip meds. This isn't something we can play with." I would have sold my soul in that moment if it meant Mom would be okay. Instead, I sold my time. More hours at work, no days off, no sick days. Whatever my boss needed, I did it. Because hospital bills were real, medications were real. And even though Erin helped, cutting some costs, pulling some strings, it still added up. Mom needed frequent appointments. I needed a paycheck. There was no other way. That's when things started to crack with Alicia. "You're never home," she snapped one night, standing in the kitchen with her arms crossed. "You go from work to the hospital to your mom's place and then collapse here like a zombie. Is this our life now?" I stared at her, exhausted down to the bone. "My mom almost died, Alicia. I'm trying to keep her alive." "I know," she said, rolling her eyes slightly. "I'm not a monster. I care about her. But what about us? We haven't gone out in months. We haven't done anything nice. I'm tired of living like we're broke college students." "We are broke," I said quietly. "Everything is going to her treatment. You know that." "Yeah," she muttered. "Well, I didn't marry you to spend the best years of my life in cheap restaurants and hospital waiting rooms." The words cut deeper than she probably intended. Or maybe she did intend them. I don't know. We had versions of that argument again and again. Each time I'd promised to try harder, as if there were extra hours hidden somewhere in the day, as if I wasn't already running on fumes. She'd soften, apologize, kiss me, and for a brief moment it felt like the beginning again. But the resentment never really left. It just went quiet, waiting. Then came the corporate party. Pitts and Associates threw this big annual event at a fancy hotel ballroom. Normally I wouldn't go, but that year Alicia insisted. "We never go anywhere," she said. "Put on a decent shirt. I want to dress up and feel like I have a life." She walked out of the bedroom in a black dress that made every head turn later, even mine, and I'd seen her 1,000 times. Hair shiny, lips red, heels that clicked like she owned the floor. "Wow," I whispered. "You look like someone who doesn't belong in discount diners," she joked, but there was an edge. Still, she smiled and took my arm. The ballroom was full of clinking glasses, laughter, and the low hum of networking. That's where she met Howard Pitts properly for the first time. Howard was the owner of the company, early 50s, tall, well-groomed, with that practiced charm rich men wear like a tailored suit. I'd seen him around, of course. To him, I was one of the countless Brads or Bens or whoever who kept his numbers moving. "Bradley, isn't it?" He clapped me on the shoulder. "You must be the man keeping the shipments from falling apart." I laughed weakly. "I try, sir." "And you must be his better half," he said to Alicia, taking her hand with just a fraction too much warmth. "I'm Alicia," she said, smiling in that radiant way she had. "Nice to finally meet you, Mr. Pitts. Bradley speaks highly of the company." "I hope he speaks highly of the boss, too," Howard joked. They laughed. They talked more than I was comfortable with, but I told myself I was being insecure. Later, I watched them dance. It was innocent enough, a slow song, couples on the floor, but Howard's hand stayed a little too long on her back. Her head tipped back when she laughed at something he whispered. I swallowed it. I told myself, "Brad, you're tired. You're paranoid. She loves you. He's married. He's your boss." And then life moved on. Or so I thought. The signs came slowly. the new handbag that I know I didn't buy. It was on sale, she said. The expensive perfume. It was a gift from a friend who works in beauty. The late nights out. Just drinks with the girls. You wouldn't have fun there anyway, babe. She started dressing up more often, just to get out of the house. Tight dresses, high heels, lipstick reapplied 3 times. I'd be on my way to see my mom at the hospital, and she'd be on her way downtown. My brain registered it. My gut screamed. But my heart still remembered the girl in the blue dress at that birthday party. The girl who used to fall asleep on my chest in our crappy apartment, who cried when my mom was admitted to the ICU. And above everything, there was this heavy, suffocating fear. If I picked a fight, if I accused her without proof, if things blew up, what would happen to Mom? Because Aaron treated my mom out of love for his sister more than for me. He made that clear in 100 subtle ways. Little comments like, if it weren't for Alicia, I'd tell you to find another hospital. We're overbooked as it is. I clung to the idea that I was imagining things, that stress was making me paranoid, that surely my wife wouldn't do that to me while my mom fought for her life. I was wrong. I found out on a Tuesday night. It was one of those days where everything blurred. Work overtime, then hospital, then grocery store for Mom's low-sodium foods, then home. Alicia was on the couch scrolling through her phone when I came in. She gave me a distracted, "Hey," kissed my cheek without looking away from the screen. "I'm exhausted," she said. "I'm going to take a shower and go to bed early. There's leftovers in the fridge." I nodded, numb. "Okay." She went to the bedroom and I heard the water start running. I reheated some food, ate without tasting, then flopped on the couch. That's when I noticed her phone on the coffee table, face up. It buzzed. I didn't mean to look. You always tell yourself that, right? That you're not that guy, that you respect privacy, that if there's a problem, you'll talk like adults. But when your chest has been tight for months and the ground feels unstable, and your wife's phone with all its secrets lights up right in front of you, the screen lit up with a name. Howard P. A preview of the message showed just enough. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You're driving me crazy." My world tilted. I stared at the name, at the words. My hands went cold. The sound of the shower roared in my ears. I told myself, it could be someone else. Another Howard. Maybe it's just, I don't even know what excuse I was reaching for. I picked up the phone. No password. She trusted me. That was the irony. The messages were all there. Weeks of them. Months. "Howard, you look stunning at dinner." I almost lost it when you laughed. "Alicia, you should have seen your face when I whispered that in your ear." Photos. Her in hotel rooms I'd never been in. A shot of his hand on her thigh at what I realized was his office. I recognized the corner of his desk from meetings. Messages about how Brad is at the hospital again, he has no idea, with laughing emojis that made me feel physically sick. My thumbs scrolled and scrolled as my heart pounded. My boss, my wife, in restaurants I couldn't afford, in cars I didn't own, in moments I thought she was with friends. There was one message that made me sit down because my knees gave out. "Alicia, he can't quit or leave me until his mom is better. I swear if he ever finds out, I'll tell Aaron to drop her case. He'll never risk her life. A joke, a bluff, a threat she'd never carry out." I had no way to know. But I knew one thing. She wasn't just cheating. She knew I was trapped. And she was using that. The shower water stopped. I heard her humming. I dropped the phone back where it was and stumbled to the bathroom sink, gripping it until my knuckles turned white. In the mirror, I looked like a ghost. I should have barged into the bedroom. I should have thrown the phone at her, screamed, demanded answers. You think you know what you do. You don't. Not until the moment comes. Because while my mind replayed those messages, another image pushed through. My mom in a hospital bed, Aaron standing at the foot of it, saying, "Her condition is very delicate." I heard Alicia's text again. "I'll tell Aaron to drop her case." Could she really do that? Would he really listen? Would he punish my mother because of our marriage? I didn't know the answers, but I wasn't willing to gamble my mom's life to find out. So I did what I never thought I would. I pretended nothing had changed. The next morning, I went to work. Howard walked into the office like always, smelling like expensive cologne and power. He gave everyone his usual charming smile, then stopped at my desk. "Bradley," he said, "you stay late again last night?" I swallowed bile. "Yes, sir. Finished the reports you asked for." "Good man," he said, clapping my shoulder. "We need more loyal people like you." Loyal. My jaw ticked, but I smiled. "Of course." He walked away. I watched him go, thinking about the messages, the way he talked about my wife's body like she was some hobby he'd picked up, about how casual it all was for him. A married man sleeping with his employee's wife, knowing that employee depended on him for a paycheck. I wanted to smash something, tear it all down. Instead, I processed invoices. That became my life. Pretend. At home, Alicia acted like everything was normal. She still complained sometimes about money, about how little we did. She still dressed up and went out with friends. Now, every time she put on lipstick, I wondered whose reflection she was checking it for. At the hospital, I sat in plastic chairs beside my mother's bed while she dozed, monitors beeping softly. She looked smaller every time, more fragile. "You look tired, Brad," she'd say. "You okay?" "Just work," I'd reply. "Don't worry about me, Mom." Aaron would sweep in, check her charts, adjust medications. He'd nod at me, curt but professional. "She's responding," he said one day. "If we stay consistent, there's a good chance she stabilizes. But we can't afford any gaps in treatment right now." Gaps. In other words, don't mess this up. One evening, Alicia and I were in the kitchen. She was scrolling through her phone, smiling at something. "Who are you texting?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She looked up surprised. "Just Mia." "Why?" I stared at her. "You seem happy." "I'm trying to be," she said a little defensively. "It's depressing around here, Brad. You're always gone. Your mom is always sick. We never do anything fun. I need something for myself." "Something like a wealthy married boss?" I almost said. Instead, I shook my head. "I'm trying," I said quietly. "I'm doing everything I can." She sighed and put the phone down. "I know you are. I don't want to wake up at 35 and realize I wasted my life waiting for things to get better." The messed up part is, I understood that fear. I felt it too. I was 29 and already felt decades older. But the way she handled that fear and the way I did were very different. I reached my breaking point the day Mom squeezed my hand and said, "If something happens to me, promise me you'll take care of yourself too. Don't chain your whole life to my hospital bed." We were alone in her room. Evening light spilled through the blinds, painting stripes across her blanket. "Don't talk like that," I said. "You're not going anywhere." She smiled faintly. "Everyone goes somewhere eventually." "That's not the point." I looked away quickly so she wouldn't see my eyes gloss over. She sighed. "You think I don't notice? The circles under your eyes? The way your shoulders are tense all the time? The way Alicia smiles less when you're around?" I froze. "We're just stressed," I said. "Money, your treatment, work." "Stress doesn't make a person check out like that," Mom said gently. "She looks at her phone more than she looks at you." I let out a shaky breath. "Mom?" She squeezed my hand. "I'm not accusing her of anything. I'm just saying, don't sacrifice everything for me. Your father did that, you know. Stayed in a miserable job to keep the health insurance when I had you. It ate him alive." "He left," I reminded her. "Exactly," she said quietly. "He built a prison for himself and then broke out the worst possible way. I don't want that for you." I wanted to tell her everything, about the texts, about Howard, about the way I felt like a puppet whose strings were held by my boss in one hand and my wife's family in the other. But I looked at the IV in her arm, the monitor showing her fragile heartbeat, and I swallowed it. She had enough to worry about. Still, her words lodged somewhere deep. Don't chain your whole life to my hospital bed. That night, lying next to Alicia while she scrolled through her phone with her screen dimmed, I made a decision. If I couldn't leave now, I would at least stop being helpless. I would find a way out that didn't involve gambling my mom's life. The first thing I did was start documenting. I forwarded the most incriminating messages and photos from Alicia's phone to a secret email account. Howard's messages, the dates, the photos in his office, the hotel receipts I later found in our bank statements. I gathered it all, not to expose them immediately, but as leverage, I guess, insurance. Then I started researching other cardiologists. I couldn't match Aaron's reputation, but I found a doctor in another clinic with solid reviews, especially for high-risk heart patients. I spoke to one of Mom's nurses quietly. She said, "Dr. Green is good, not a miracle worker, but dedicated. Why?" "Just planning ahead," I said. I ran numbers, what it would cost to transfer Mom's case, which hospitals our budget and insurance could handle, how much I needed saved up to cover a few months of chaos. At work, I quietly updated my resume, sent out applications during lunch breaks, took calls in my car, sweating, praying no one would notice. One company finally called back with an offer, lower pay, less status, but it was stable and, most importantly, didn't come with a boss who treated my wife like a side project. It wasn't enough to cover everything comfortably, but it was survivable. Barely. One evening, Aaron met me in the hallway outside Mom's room. "Her latest tests look better," he admitted. "We're not out of the woods, but if she continues responding to medication, we might avoid surgery." That's the best news we've had in months. Relief crashed over me so hard I had to lean against the wall for a second. "So she's stable?" I asked. He frowned thoughtfully. "I wouldn't use that word, but we're moving away from crisis mode. Still, you need to stay consistent. No dropping treatment, no we ran out of pills excuses." "I understand," I said. "Thank you, Aaron. Really." He shrugged, uncomfortable. "I'm doing it for Alicia," he muttered. "But your mom is a good woman." I nodded. I filed his words away. We were moving away from crisis mode, not safe, but safer. It was time. I set it up like this. I asked Alicia if she could meet me for lunch near my office on Friday. "There's something I want to talk about," I said. She narrowed her eyes. "What kind of something?" "Just us," I said. "I feel like we haven't been on the same page. I want to fix things." She studied my face for a second, then nodded. "Okay, fine. I'll clear my afternoon." Then I went to Howard's assistant. "Can I schedule a quick check-in with Mr. Pitts on Friday around noon?" I asked. "I want to discuss some project ideas." She smiled. "You know he loves initiative. Let me see. Yes, he has an opening between meetings. I'll slot you in for 12 sharp." Perfect. On Friday, my heart hammered in my chest from the moment I woke up. I kissed Mom's forehead at the hospital, told her I'd be back in the evening. At work, I sat through the morning, pretending everything was normal. At 11:50, I texted Alicia. "Meeting might run a few minutes over. Can you come up to Howard's office? We can talk there afterward." "He doesn't mind," she replied. "In the boss's office? Fancy." "Sure." My hands shook as I put my phone down. At exactly 12, I knocked on Howard's door. "Come in," he called. He was behind his desk, scrolling through something on his screen. He looked up, smiled that same polished smile. "Bradley, what have you got for me?" Before I could respond, there was another knock. "That must be my wife," I said smoothly. "I hope you don't mind that I asked her to join us. I wanted to pick your brain about some career growth stuff and thought her perspective could help." He froze for half a second. Just half. Then his smile returned, slightly tighter. "Of course," he said. "Always happy to talk career." I opened the door. Alicia walked in, heels clicking, wearing a dress I recognized from a photo she'd sent him. She looked at Howard, then at me, puzzled. "What is this?" I shut the door behind her and turned the lock. The sound was small. Final. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear my own voice. "I thought we could all have an honest conversation," I said. "Bradley," Howard chuckled uneasily. "What's going on here? Is this some kind of surprise intervention? If you're asking for a raise, this is an unusual way to do it." I walked to his desk and placed a folder on it. Printed emails, screenshots, bank statements. You like documentation, sir, I said. So do I. He glanced at the folder, then at me. Alicia's face was draining of color. Brad, what is this? She whispered. Why don't you open it and find out? I said, looking at Howard. He sighed, annoyed, and flipped the folder open. I watched his eyes move, watched them widen. The tips of his ears turned red. He flipped faster, then slower. Pictures of hotel rooms, messages about how Brad will be at the hospital for hours, jokes about my mom, about me being too busy playing devoted son to notice anything. I waited. Alicia's breath grew shallow. She stepped closer, saw the papers, and a strangled sound left her throat. Bradley, don't, I said sharply, finally looking at her. You've been lying to my face for months. You don't get to start this conversation with my first name, like everything's normal. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean, stop lying, I said. My voice shook, but I kept it low. You meant every word you typed. Howard closed the folder slowly. Bradley, he began, his tone deliberate. Let's talk about this calmly. We're all adults here. Yes, I said. We are. Adult enough to know when we're screwing someone over. Watch your tone, he said coldly. You're still my employee. I laughed once, humorless. Not for long. He stiffened. I took a breath. Here's how this is going to go. I know about the affair. I know it's been going on for months. I know exactly how many times you've used my wife as entertainment while I was at work or in the hospital with my mother. Alicia flinched. Brad, please, it's not like that. In your messages, I continued, ignoring her, you called me pathetic for being so focused on my mom's health. You joked about how I'd never leave because Aaron is her doctor. You, I looked at Alicia, specifically said that if I ever found out, you'd tell your brother to stop treating my mom. She went pale. I was angry, she said. I didn't mean. I don't care if you meant it, I said. I care that the thought even crossed your mind. Silence settled heavy in the room. Howard cleared his throat. What do you want, Bradley? He asked. Money? A promotion? Because if this is some kind of blackmail, it's not blackmail, I interrupted. It's protection. I looked at both of them. Really looked at them. Two people who had turned my life into a trap and still somehow felt entitled to be offended. Here's what I want, I said quietly. I want my mom to keep getting the treatment she needs. I want to walk out of this marriage with my dignity and my mother still alive. That's it. Brad, Alicia began. I've already accepted another job, I said. That surprised them both. I'll be leaving Pitts and Associates in 2 weeks. I'll be filing for divorce after that. I'll also be transferring my mom's care to another doctor as soon as they've reviewed her case and we have a proper plan. Alicia stared. You're leaving? Yes, I said. My throat tightened. I'm leaving. I can't stay married to someone who laughs about my mother's illness in hotel rooms. She put a hand to her mouth. Tears spilled over. I'm sorry, she whispered. I was scared, Brad. I felt trapped too. I didn't know how to. You felt trapped? I repeated, incredulous. In what? A modest apartment with a husband who worked himself to the bone to take care of his dying mother and you? I'm not saying I was perfect. God knows I wasn't. But you chose to solve your fear with champagne and secret hotel rooms. Don't talk to me about being trapped. Howard leaned back, regaining some of his arrogance. If you think you can threaten me with this and walk away clean, you're mistaken, he said. I have lawyers. I have connections. I'm sure you do, I said. That's why I'm not sending this to HR, or to the board, or to your wife, yet. His jaw clenched. I'm not asking you for money, I said, or a promotion, or anything like that. I'm telling you what's going to happen and what won't. I pointed at the folder. If either of you does anything that harms my mother's care, if Aaron suddenly drops her for no medical reason, if there are accidental delays, if anything suspicious happens, I will send all of this to your wife, Howard, and to the hospital administration, and to Aaron, and to everyone in this city who cares about gossip. Alicia gasped. Brad, please don't drag Aaron into this. He is treating my mother because of you, I said. He deserves to know exactly who he's doing a favor for. Howard's face had gone hard. You'd destroy your wife's reputation like that? I looked at Alicia. Her eyes were pleading, mascara streaking her cheeks. Once upon a time, I would have done anything not to see that. Now all I saw was the woman who typed, "He'll never risk his mom's life," with a laughing emoji. She destroyed it herself, I said quietly. I'm just holding the mirror. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Howard said, if you walk away quietly, no one needs to know about this. You can leave the company, get your sad little divorce, and move on. You start making threats. They're not threats, I said. They're boundaries. I've been your doormat long enough. I've been hers long enough. I'm not trying to ruin your life. I just won't let you ruin mine. Or my mom's. Alicia wiped her eyes. Brad, please, she whispered. Can't we work through this? I made a mistake. I got scared. I didn't know how to handle you always being gone. The money, everything. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary, I said. A mistake is saying something hurtful in an argument. Sleeping with my boss for months and joking about using your brother's medical power over my mother. That's a choice. Repeated, deliberate choices. She sobbed. My chest ached, but I held firm. I loved you, I said. I still do, in some twisted way. But I love my mom more, and I love myself enough not to keep living like this. Howard exhaled, defeated for now. What exactly do you expect from me? He asked. For the next 2 weeks, I expect professionalism, I said. No retaliation, no drama. I'll do my job. You'll do yours. After that, I'm gone. If anyone asks why, you say I got a better offer. And if I don't agree, he said, then I go to your wife today, I replied. Before I even pack up my desk. We stared at each other. Finally, he looked away first. Fine, he muttered. 2 weeks, then you're out of my company. I was out of your company the moment you slept with my wife, I said. This is just paperwork. I opened the door. Brad! Alicia moved toward me. I stepped back. I'll be home late, I said. We can talk about logistics then. What you take, what you leave. But understand this. We're over. Her face crumpled. I never thought you'd actually leave, she whispered. I let out a brittle laugh. That's the problem, Alicia. You never thought I would do anything but tolerate whatever you threw at me. And then I walked out of my boss's office, my legs shaking but my spine straighter than it had been in months. The aftermath was messy. There's no clean way to dismantle a life. Alicia moved out within a week, staying with a friend at first. She texted me long paragraphs, alternating between apologies, excuses, and anger. I stopped reading after a while. I forwarded everything to the same email folder and archived it. We filed for divorce, no kids, modest assets, no big legal war. Just signatures on paper that felt heavier than they should have. At work, Howard pretended nothing had happened. To everyone else, he was still the charming, successful owner with a perfect family. Maybe one day his wife will find out from someone else. Maybe not. That's between them. I didn't feel responsible for saving her from him. On my last day, I turned in my badge. The building that had once felt like a lifeline now felt like a cage I was finally stepping out of. Good luck, Bradley, his assistant said. We'll miss you. Take care, I said. And I meant it, for her, not for him. I started my new job the following week. The office was smaller, the paychecks thinner. But when my new boss shook my hand, I didn't have to wonder if he knew what my wife's perfume smelled like. I transferred mom's care too. Dr. Green was younger, less decorated, but he took time to explain everything to us. He treated mom like a person, not a case file. I've reviewed your previous doctor's notes, he said. Whoever was handling her before did a solid job stabilizing her. We'll continue along those lines, adjust as we go. I didn't tell him why we were switching. I didn't tell Aaron either. Alicia must have said something to him eventually, because one day he called me. I heard you changed hospitals, he said stiffly. Yes, I replied. It was a financial decision. Silence, then. Is my sister okay? I thought of all the things I could say. She'll survive, I said. We both will. He seemed to understand there was more I wasn't saying, but he didn't press. We ended the call politely. Maybe one day he'll learn the whole truth. Maybe he already suspects. Mom asked about Alicia, of course. Are you two fighting? She said one evening when Alicia hadn't visited in a while. We're separating, I said carefully. It's complicated. Her eyes searched my face. Did she hurt you? She asked softly. I swallowed. Yeah, I admitted. She did. Mom's hand trembled slightly as she reached for mine. Then let her go, she whispered. You don't have to bleed to prove you're a good man, Brad. I closed my eyes. For the first time in a long time, I let myself cry in front of her. She held my hand like she used to when I was a kid, as if the roles hadn't reversed, as if I wasn't the one fighting for her life. Don't you dare blame yourself for your father leaving or your wife cheating, she said. Some people don't know what to do with a good heart. That's not your fault. I nodded into the silence, letting her words sink in. It's been months since all that. My life is smaller now, quieter. I go to work, I visit Mom, I cook simple meals in a half-empty apartment that used to hold another person's clothes, another person's perfume, another person's lies. Am I happy? Not really, not yet, but I'm lighter. There's no pretending anymore. No smiling at a man who thought my marriage was a joke. No kissing a woman who smelled like another man's cologne. Mom's condition is still serious, but Dr. Green says she's stable enough to have good days now. We sit on her hospital bed and watch old shows on a tablet, laugh at bad jokes, argue about game show answers. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about Alicia, about that first night at the kitchen counter, blue dress, easy laughter. I mourn that version of her, the version of us that never made it past the honeymoon phase of life. But I don't regret leaving anymore. If you're listening to this, maybe you're judging me. Maybe you think I should have left the moment I saw those texts, no matter the risk. Or maybe you think I should have exposed Howard, nuked his career, scorched the earth. I thought about all of that. In the end, I did what I could live with. I saved my mom first. I saved what little was left of myself second. And I let the rest burn quietly, off stage. I'm not a hero in this story. I'm not some clever mastermind. I stayed too long. I swallowed too much. I let fear dictate my choices for months. But eventually, I chose to walk away. Not dramatically, not perfectly. Just one step, then another. My name is Bradley. I'm 29. My wife cheated on me with my boss while my mom fought for her life. I couldn't save my marriage. I couldn't fix other people's morals. But I kept my mother alive. And I finally remembered that my life matters too.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and explore our channel for more love, betrayal, and redemption tales.